you're here to find some underappreciated shows or maybe hear me praise a few old favorites, you've come to the right place. This is Restless in Peace, and today we're spotlighting Summer Wars. I'm Fennec, and I've been an anime fan for almost a decade and I've watched hundreds of shows. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with friends if you haven't seen Summer Wars. Spoilers ahead. Summer Wars takes place in an alternate version of 2010, something like that, in which the entire world is using the application called Oz. With Oz, you can do pretty much anything. Your avatar has the same level of authority as you in real life. For example, let's say the avatar of an electricity company owner could be used to create blackouts. Everything is done with Oz. Shopping for cars, for shoes, for whatever you want to shop for. You do your paperwork for the government through that. You do whatever, like everything. Everything is done with Oz. Oz has such an advanced and unpenetrable security system that the entire world trusts it with all of its information and authority. The use of Oz has become second only to pretty much the uses of the devices themselves. The main conflict starts when a super hacking AI that was bought by the US military who thought a good test run would be Oz. But after the AI called Love Machine hacked into Oz, it started kind of raining chaos by confiscating and using other people's accounts as its own, and I think actually the peak number of accounts was like that it had under it was like 400 million accounts, and then there was this one account that it used to try and crash a satellite into a nuclear power plant, so the whole thing is kind of a mess. And there's this family called the Jinuichi family that's at the center of everything. Jinuichi developed Love Machine with, the money he took from Granny, who's the head of the family, celebrating her 90th birthday at the time of this movie, by the way. And Granny's great-granddaughter's fake boyfriend is our protagonist. A pro-gamer from the Jinuichi family is also one of the main obstacles in Love Machine's way, and so on and so forth. The Jinuichi family are pretty much this movie. Moving on, I have pretty much like two things I want to talk about. First being Granny. Granny lived to be like 90 years old and was one of those people that were so fucking amazing that they at least should have an entire book written on them. Like, there's this scene when the crisis starts. Love Machine hacked Oz. People's accounts are deactivated. People can't do shit. Old people's pagers for help are going crazy. Fire alarms are going crazy. People are traffic lights are going insane. There's absolute chaos. And during this scene when the crisis starts, she pulls out old letters, a phone book, old pictures, and starts calling up every single influential person she knows. And we're talking a lot of fucking people, like at least a few hundred. Having the connections to call up so many influential people and just straight up tell them, get off your fucking ass and start doing shit. No, that's impressive. You can also see this in the final scene of the film in Granny's funeral. Countless people showed up on a moment's notice to her funeral. I'm talking a line from here to Timbuktu. Can you imagine being that person so loved and respected that something like that would actually happen at your funeral? We're talking she died, next day is the funeral, and everyone was there. If you were someone, you were there, and you weren't just there to be there, you were there because you knew her and had a reason to be there. And we're not even talking about how by the way, she can still wield a fucking spear at 90. And yeah, you heard me right, a spear, which, by the way, she used to almost impale her son, adopted son, who used her money to create a super hacky AI that almost caused a nuclear apocalypse, but still her son. She was a badass woman and the head of her absurdly large family. Like, seriously, what family goes back 16 fucking generations? That's just absurd. Look, my family's also pretty big, like really big, but I don't know everyone. I hear about a new cousin or uncle I don't even know I had every other week, let alone stay in touch with these people. But Granny actually stays in touch with her entire obnoxiously huge family. Like, how do you even do that? Like, how do you have enough time in a day to even contact people like that? Like, and I just don't know. Basically, she's a legendary granny and pretty much on her own makes this movie worth a watch. Okay, like, anyway, the other thing I wanted to bring up is how the way that Oz was presented is kind of like the key instrument in making this movie work logically, which is very important because suspension of disbelief can only take you so far. How Oz is presented is that all avatars exist in a virtual, interactable 3D space that is practically endless, and there is a very strong emphasis on making the virtual world of Oz feel physical. This is very important for immersion. Without it, we would be like that mom in the movie that asks her kid, "Isn't that just a game?" When a nuclear threat becomes a reality. Instead, we're in the camp of, please take this fucking seriously. And that feeling we share with the few characters that are taking this seriously makes for a level of tribalism that significantly improves our immersion. By the way. Like, all this work has been laid out so that we take all of this as seriously as possible. And you have to remember that this movie came out in 2009. And, like, technology has come a long way since then. People were still using flip phones back then. So, like, they really had to step up their game on immersion in this movie. Otherwise, it just wouldn't work. So, like, first applause for that. But here's the thing, like, how did they do everything so physical? Like, they created the virtual 3D space of Oz, and we were constantly visiting it. Like, constantly. Like, almost, pretty much every other scene was in Oz. This made the world of Oz pretty much ubiquitous with, like, in the movie. It's like, it really hammered home the fact that everything is done with Oz. You see avatars physically send emails. You see people in conversations when they're talking over the phone. You see their avatars talking. Like, we like, pretty much half of the movie is in Oz, and it just really, like, does its job in terms of immersion. And without it, this movie just would stink, really. But there's Granny. There's always Granny. Granny's always a good reason to watch this movie. Like, she has this smile with, like, 2 teeth. That's just hilarious. Anyway, just watch this movie for Granny if you haven't. Like, she's fun. You know what? Let's just end things here. Like, Granny's a good note to end on. Finally, I do recommend watching Summer Wars if you haven't, and don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share with friends.